Hello, this is Nina Perez at Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. This show was created to speak about real life topics. And today I have a very special guest with me. Her name is Julie Gulemi, and she is the founder of Gulemi Mind, Body, and Surroundings. Her organization is standing up against the thousands of messages a day telling us that we are not good enough. She offers a multifaceted approach to better living and works with teen and women, focusing on emotional healing, body image, beauty, and spirituality. She is invited to be a speaker at schools, conferences, camps, religious organizations, events, and much, much more. So Julie brings a dynamic presentation and incorporates her story growing up in the modeling industry to share the power of self-acceptance and body image healing. So that is a lot to say. So we are really happy that you're here with us, Julie. Thank you so much for being on my show. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so exciting. When I saw your website, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have her. I have to have her. So Julie, every time somebody comes to Straight Talk, I put them in the hot seat. So your seat is hot right now. And I wanted you to just tell us a little bit about yourself. Please.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Julie Gulemi. I started modeling when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
So I was in the industry for 10 years, so until I was 18. That was like a major part of my growth and development. And I grew up right here in Fairfield. So this area is really near and dear to my heart.
Yeah. Are you still here in Fairfield County?
Bridgeport. So
Okay.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Fairfield
Great.
County. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So thank you. 8 years old is a really tough time to start such a heavy industry, right?
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine whose daughter is also just getting into the industry, and sometimes you're just like, oh, that's great, and sometimes you're like, oh, I don't know if it is, because that's a tough industry.
It's really
tough. It's tough. So I'd like to start that off. Actually, I'd like to talk to you about, what you've gone through, not just in the modeling industry, but like in your growing up, what you've gone through and things like that. So that people can kind of relate to Julie and as to why you even started Mind, Body, and Surroundings, right? So tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, yeah. So it was a very interesting journey. So there was part of the modeling industry that I loved. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I got to do some really cool things. I got to go on trips, got to work with really incredible people. And so for those 10 years of my life, it was really like my modeling name was Jules. So there was kind of my like normal everyday Julie life and then my work Jules life. Right. So it was actually really helpful for me so I could kind of like be one person there and another person when I was at home.
Separate.
Right. But the tricky stuff kind of happened after. So I ended up going to college, got my psych degree, communication degree, and I felt like I was supposed to go back into the modeling industry. And at that time, I had gained weight as a woman. You get older, you gain weight.
And in college.
Right, totally. And like you're supposed to. As a woman, you develop and, you get your curves and all that kind of stuff. That's so much fun and so beautiful. But I knew that the modeling industry had a standard. And so I got a nutritionist, I got a trainer. And my whole entire life became about, I have to drop this weight, I have to be this size, I have to look this certain way. Right. And so I ended up graduating college, dove deep into this whirlwind of dieting. And I ended up going into a few agencies and on a couple go-sees, and every single time they told me, you still need to lose more weight. Oh and let me tell you, Nina, we were at the point where my hairdresser was saying to me, your head looks too big for your body. Like I looked like it was a it was a serious issue. And so there's this one memory that transformed everything for me. And I remember I was at this one agency and they took out a measuring tape and they measured me, my bust first, my waist, and then they got to my hips. And when they got to my hips, they had this look on their face like, you still need to lose more weight before we can sign you. And in that moment, I was like, can't do this. Right. I'm dying. And so I ended up going home. I knew in the depths of my soul I was done. I couldn't do this anymore. And I ended up it was. I fell into a depression because I didn't know who I was. Right. This was being taken away from me, Right. And that depression was real and it spiraled. And there was one morning I was laying in bed and I was like, God, I need you to speak to me about what true beauty is. Right. Because I am in bondage right now and I can't do this.
Right.
And it started this crazy journey of diving into research, diving into people's experiences, healing my own experiences, figuring out what was actually happening when we're being marketed to say this is what you should look like.
Right.
And I started, I didn't start an organization, but I created a ministry.
Okay.
And it was called You Are Immeasurably More. And the reason I called it that was because that memory of them measuring me, I had God come into that. So abundant love came into that memory. I went back into that memory.
Wow.
And while they were measuring me, I felt like God was looking me in my face, and he put his hands on my cheeks, and he said, Julie, you are immeasurably more.
Wow.
And it was
it gave me
this,
chills.
it was like all the
like
words.
They couldn't even measure that. They couldn't even measure that.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
And so that's why I do what I do.
Right.
Because for me, it was so transformational. And I want every single teen girl and woman and man, every single human, to be free from the lies that we are told every single day in thousands of different ways that we are not enough.
Right. In thousands of different ways. And you're so right about that. If it's not a commercial, if it's not a show, you know, if it's not being in the industry. So you know, your experience too, also, you know, you said you didn't know who you were, but it was all you were really since the age of 8, right? So that's tough to try to pull that apart from being 8 years old. Is really a tough thing, right? And I'm sure that there were some things in the industry you enjoyed, right? What did you enjoy of the industry? What was like, because I think that when a lot of the youth now get into going into the industry, they probably see the things you're about to mention as the joy part of the industry, right?
Totally.
So what is like some of the biggest rewards you found in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, it was so much fun when that, like, your makeup was done, your hair was done, the camera turned on, you know, I got to come alive. You know, I was creating with my body and how I looked. And so for me, I found that to be fun because it was like, okay, I'm thinking, what does the person who is selling this want to present? And I could figure out how to do that.
Right.
And so I would be jumping, you know, like I was the girl who would always do the jumps. There was this like phase a couple of years ago. I mean, at this point, it's probably like 10 years ago more, where like everyone was jumping in catalogs.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I was like totally like their girl for that. Like I knew I had that down. But it was also really fun, like getting to wear different clothes, you know, runway shows that I would go do, you know, like so much fun. I got to meet some of the most incredible people.
Did you travel a lot?
I did, not a lot, but I did. I mean, I was working in New York City, but like I did some stuff in California, you know, and so it was just like cool. I mean, like what 8 to 18-year-old gets to miss school and, you know, do those things. It was a really once in a lifetime experience that not many people get to experience. So, and also, sorry, but also to open up a magazine like 17 magazine or Cosmo Girl, and I'm in it,
that's
you know,
so cool.
like people being like, I just got Teen Vogue and I see you in it. Like,
I know.
It's like, how
That's
cool
a great
is that?
feeling. That is a great feeling.
Yeah.
Can I ask you of the journey with maybe your parents too? I mean, because that must have been a thing for them too, right? Like my daughter is a model, like, right? That has to be exciting for the parents,
totally,
right? Yeah.
Totally. They loved it. But I mean, there was also a part that they were nervous. They were like, is this okay? Should we be having her in this industry?
Right.
Is this going to damage her? You know, they had all those questions.
Yeah, of course.
But they also loved it. They were like, this is so cool. Our daughter is doing this.
Because it's not a common thing, right? It's not something that, you know, it's not like you're going to play soccer.
Right.
You're going to actually go to California right now and you have a shoot, you know, which is fun. I mean, it is. I mean, so the industry does have something it offers, right? Which is the excitement of it all.
Totally.
Right. But, you know, I'm just thinking of you now, after college, because I'm thinking, wow, how can something that was so amazing, so exciting become something that also like tears you apart, right? It's so funny how that happens. And how was college for you though? Was college a time where you stopped modeling? Is that what happened?
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, the university I went to, they had to take pictures for like brochures and stuff, and so they asked me to take pictures for that. But other than that, like I wasn't with an agency or anything.
How did you feel at that point? How was that journey with you without modeling?
You know, it was, looking back, I can see now how that was so a part of my identity, that I was the model. And so even though I wasn't doing it at the time,
that's interesting.
I had those 10 years where I was working for the top agency at the world at the time.
Right.
And so it was like, I was a model.
Right.
And like, not just any model, like I was a successful model.
Right.
And so that was definitely a way that I felt good about myself of like, I did this. I'm, you know, I'm good. That's who I am. That's part of who I am.
Yeah.
Or at that time, it was like, that is who I am.
Yeah, even while you were in college. So it kind of still was a mentality. It still was a mindset.
Yes.
Wow, yeah. And I guess what happened, or I assume what happened, is that the busyness of having to get your college work done and all that stuff kind of kept you out of thinking so much about the negative part of it, right? Yeah.
And I was at the time in my life, some emotional things happened, some traumatic situations happened in my life right before I went to college. And so I was kind of in this state of just denial where I just was like, life is good, let's have fun, you know, and I wasn't crazy or anything, but I just didn't want to face any emotional issues or pain or anything. So I kind of was just like running and just didn't look back.
Right.
Until after college.
Yeah, well, you get tired of running is the problem, right?
Yes.
You lose steam.
Totally.
Yeah. So I can totally see that. And so I wanted to, so in that industry, when we're still there, from 8 to 18, what was your biggest challenges, you think? Like, I think that it's a good thing to see yourself in a magazine, but maybe somewhat disappointing if they change something about you. I had a friend of mine who was a model, and she said that they used to airbrush like her ab part or something like that. And I'm like, oh, how does that feel? Like, did you go through any of those challenges?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I actually have a video of it on my Instagram. That's where I post a lot of my stuff. But it was actually for David's bridal. Was the first time I noticed that I had been photoshopped. And they photoshopped my legs and my ankles. Okay. And I remember seeing it on a kitchen table in my parents' house, and looking at it and actually feeling this sort of relief of like, okay, good, they made me look better.
Okay, wow.
But at the same time that was happening, I wasn't realizing that subconsciously I was getting the message, well, in real life, you're not beautiful enough.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I was photoshopped. I don't even know how many times, you know, like you look, some stuff I've never even seen that I've done. But it absolutely sends this message of, you're not really good enough as you are. And it's so interesting because it's like, I can be in a magazine, and in my like normal life, I'm like, yeah, I was in this magazine, but when I'm in the modeling world, I was always the biggest model. I always felt like I was inferior. I never felt like I was good enough. Like, it was kind of one of those things of
even
like,
being in the top agency.
Yes, because the focus is completely on my body.
Right. Wow.
And the amount of go-sees, the amount of castings that I went on, I experienced so much rejection. There was so much that I did, but you also are constantly experiencing rejection.
That's true. Wow.
So it's like this weird dichotomy of like, you're doing what everyone wants to do, but at the same time, I'm like so insecure in so many different ways.
Right. That happens a lot to a lot of artists.
Really?
Yeah,
I wouldn't think that.
Yeah, that happens a lot to a lot of artists. Artists, I mean, in the artist industry, like the music industry, the modeling industry, stuff like that. I don't know about artist drawing, but definitely, well, even they get judged a lot, right? Like on their art. And, you know, I don't like your art doesn't speak to me, blah, 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 right? Because somebody always has something to say, I've noticed, you know? It's just one of the things about being somebody who also is out there in, you know, on a camera and stuff like that. And so you always have judgy people, and so you kind of, the rejection thing is tough though, because yeah, you want to act like you built tough skin, but you don't always build that tough skin because something that someone says that you are already insecure about, and they touch that nerve, you're like, ouch.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So like if somebody would have said to you, oh, look, you got a cankle or whatever. Oh my God, you're already insecure about that. And they got it airbrushed. Now somebody's playing games and you're just like, it freaks you out.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And especially from 8 years old until 18, those are your like big time years of like developing and
and that must have hurt when you were a kid, right? Because when you're a kid and you're like going for, let's say you're auditioning for a show or a shoot or whatever, and you don't get picked, kids hurt when they don't get picked for stuff, you know? That must have been something.
You know, for some reason it wasn't. I think maybe because my parents were dealing with like what jobs I got and what jobs I didn't.
And you were just being a kid.
I think I just was more of like, I'm playing, and if I get a job, I'm there, you know. But once I got older is when I started to really realize, like,
because they couldn't protect you from that.
Yes.
It's been a couple months not getting that phone call.
Right.
So you did you leave like when you left at 18? You went to college. You finished college. Now, did you ever start the modeling thing again ever, or was it just rejection when you stopped?
So it was rejection.
Okay.
So I was still doing photo shoots for myself, but I wasn't getting paid. There would be photographers who for their portfolio would use me, or then I could use it for mine, but it was nothing like I was getting paid for
like
what
you
I was
were before.
doing.
So once once you left the industry at 18, so that top modeling agency, I guess they don't really consider somebody coming back, right? It's like you were good for them for when you were good for them, and that's it.
And my body had changed so much.
Yeah.
So that it was Ford models in New York City.
Yeah.
So their new branding at the time when I was coming back after college was very, very thin models.
Okay.
And so that wasn't me.
Well, you were trying to do
I was trying to, but I knew even just with my bone structure.
Yeah, I was
that
just going to say, it's probably
me.
more your bone structure and muscle structure than anything, yeah.
And so I was going for Wilhelmina. I was going for the ones that they were more open to, different sizes. And even with that, it's such a different industry now, especially with Instagram. The modeling industry is completely different.
Completely different.
It just was a different game that I wasn't used to. And
I had a friend of mine whose daughter is stunning, but she wasn't thin enough for the thinner modeling agencies and not thick enough for the plus size.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
They told me when I was at my smallest to try plus size.
What?
I am not kidding you.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not joking. A photographer was
no wonder you can't get a grip on what's reality, what's right, and this is the image and the message that they're sending our kids, right? So, kids are watching you have a perfect Barbie doll and she's perfect, and
perfect.
Yeah, she's perfect. Exactly. So, and it's so sad to me when I watch, let's say, a documentary or something on a woman that wants to be the live Barbie, and she's trying so hard. And then they showed before pictures, before she started doing all the plastic surgery, she was gorgeous.
Right.
Now she looks awful, but she was gorgeous,
Right.
and not awful oh, she's horrible to look at, but they messed up the beauty that was natural to begin with,
Right.
And that's a tough thing. That's really tough. So what did that do for you? Because I know it had to have affected you emotionally, besides the depression, in a negative way. That's a lot to carry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't know who I was.
Right. That's hard too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I had just been the model, and so now I'm I was the model, but now I'm not anymore. I'm not beautiful enough anymore to be a model, and so it threw me for a loop. I just was what do I do?
Right.
So, at the time that was happening, then also the emotions of the traumatic situations that I had gone through in high school that I had been running from were coming to the surface. So it was kind of just this Band-Aid was being ripped off of your identity has been in the fact that you have been a model. Your identity is in the fact that you're pretending to be this really good girl, but on the inside you feel like something is fundamentally wrong with you. Right. And so it was kind of I was imploding. And so it was a very hard season. And that's, it's been a journey for sure. I developed panic disorder. I really struggled with anxiety and depression. I went through some seasons of it just getting worse, but realizing that was all a response to the trauma that I had been through.
Right. What brought you to the point of knowing that was a response to the trauma, though? Because sometimes we can stay in depression and just stay there and not even know what's going on or why.
Right. So that's actually a fantastic question, because at first I thought something was seriously wrong with me. Especially, I don't know if you've experienced a panic attack before.
Absolutely.
But I had never heard about it before, and so I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was going to die. I mean, I went to the emergency room.
Me too.
My
first one, I was in the emergency room thinking I had a heart attack.
I'm dying. I'm dying. You might not know it, but I'm dying. I know I'm dying. And I'm laughing about it, but it was horrifying.
Yeah, it's awful.
Awful. And so I started getting them in the night all the time, and
while you're sleeping, you get up.
Oh,
and
I woke up to having a panic attack. I didn't have a chance to even talk myself off the ledge.
Right.
So I really couldn't not face it. It was one of those things for me. It was you have to face this because you're not able to work, you're not able to function. And so through that, I started to dive into some pretty intensive therapy, and looking at my past and looking at memories and just realizing that it was my nervous system's way of trying to protect me.
Right.
It was perceiving these threats that actually weren't there anymore, that I could be being triggered, and my body was like, oh my gosh, you are in danger, I must protect you. And so I would then have a panic attack to try to get me away from this threat it was perceiving. And then with the depression, a lot of times it was just my body was shutting down, where it was like, I can't take the pain, so I'm gonna just, I can't. I just, it's kind of like, I see it as like my panic is like the feeling of the emotion, and then the depression is me numbing out.
Right.
So, and so many people struggle with this.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And when
more than you know, it's insane.
And when I started looking into it, I was like, we're not alone.
Yeah.
Like we need to be with each other on this, and there's healing that can be done that in a lot of therapy offices isn't being done.
Right.
It's just symptom control.
Right.
Where we're
pills.
like, exactly. And I am such a believer in medication.
Yep, me too.
I myself am on medication.
Yep, I believe
in
it too.
There's also, it goes hand in hand with you have to do the work of where's the root.
Right.
Where did this start? Where is the pain coming from? What is the trauma? What is the lie that you are believing about yourself?
Right.
That's holding you back. And so that's like the embodiment of all that I do is like, let's deal with your body image issues. Let's deal with the lies that you're believing, the trauma that you've walked through. Let's bring healing there so that you can truly walk as the person you were created to be.
Yeah, and with the depression, anxiety, that also comes with shame. Like people have already gone through enough trauma to get them to the depression and anxiety state. But then there's also like shame that you are depressed or have anxiety. Like I held that in for a long time. People did not know that I was struggling with depression and anxiety because you don't talk about it. I think it's a little bit more accepting now. I think people are more free about talking about it, but it's also, I feel like, at its highest too. And it's not just women or men, it's children. There's kids and teens going through that. It's just like, it's sad to me, but I think we have, I think technology and everything is fantastic, but I also think it's hurt us a lot because there's way too much information coming, too much information. And sometimes your brain just can't even what? What's happening right now?
It's too much. We weren't meant to know all this.
Yeah, exactly. or you just have too many options to the point where now you make no decision.
Right.
It's like going to the store and like going to get toothpaste and there's like 50 brands and you're like,
right.
I'm not gonna brush my teeth. I'm done.
It's too much.
It's too many. I'm brushing my teeth again.
You know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like overwhelming,
yes.
right? It becomes to be just way too much,
Way too much.
So I wanted you to talk about, what did you find comforting about leaving the industry? Was there anything comforting at all, or did you really feel like you were just ripped out? Like how did that feel for you when you were 18 and decided, I'm going to college, done with the modeling right now? Did you really think, I'm done with the modeling, or did you think, I'm putting it on hold while I do this college thing?
What a good question. I honestly don't know. I think when I was 18, I was like, I'm done. I just was
You were tired.
done. I was tired.
Yeah.
But I probably somewhere in my mind was like, I'll probably end up back there in some way, But when I was rejected, when I was after college, I struggled with the grief of losing that dream.
That's good.
It was really hard because there was another girl who was in my life who actually had gone to college with me who ended up getting a career in the modeling industry. And she's now on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Right.
And I really struggled with, she's living my dream. Right. She's living what's supposed to be mine.
Right.
And I really struggled. And
heck yeah.
Yeah. And it was a journey, of course, for me to, feel the emotions of the grief and the anger and, all of that, jealousy. But I ended up getting to a point where I was like, I actually don't want to be working for an industry that's telling anyone that they need this product or they need to look this way, whether it be outwardly saying like shave your legs and make the, you're seeing this smooth leg, or them saying like use this product to look this way to make your cheekbones look higher, whatever it is. Like I realized I don't want to be doing that. I don't want my face, my voice, any of me to be selling something to make someone feel less than who they are. I want to be using my energy to help people step into who they are.
That's awesome.
So
that's really great. And and when we think about how hard that industry is, the girl on the Sports Illustrated cover has gone through quite a bit of a journey, right? I mean, we don't know, I don't know her personally, but I'm just saying, when you think about the struggle that it is, I'm sure that it's a constant everyday struggle for her as well, like to make it to that point, right? If that was her goal, to keep that goal, right? And so when you're in the industry for so long, I think it's even harder. You were probably more blessed and covered than you think, right? Because if her identity is still in that, that's super hard when you become too old to be on the cover. Or, or too old to model, or too old to, and then you're like, oh shoot, now I'm not thin enough, now I'm old, like what do I do? Where do I go from here? I remember reading an article with Bourdain, who I really liked before he, took his own life. But I remember the article, he was saying, I've already reached the very top of my career, now what? And I'm like, oh, wow, it's hard. But when we come back, I want to talk to you about mind, body, and surroundings. I want to talk about how you've taken all of these things that you've gone through and how you are now implementing to help others. Okay? Yes. Great. So we will be right back. Don't you miss it. Julie and I are having some really deep conversation here, so don't you miss a beat. Come right back.
Hi, my name is Julie Gulemi, creator of Julie Gulemi Mind, Body, and Surroundings. I am so excited to get to sit down with you and figure out a plan that works for you. And in this life, we have so many messages telling us that we are not good enough. From when we're a little child up until this very moment, you have had things telling you that you are not enough, that you are a failure, that you need to do this or you need to do that. But I am here to tell you in this moment to take a breath. Right now, you are enough. Just as you are, in this moment, you are enough. And in our work together, that is where we will always start. That you don't need to prove anything, that you don't need to be anything, that you don't need to bring anything. You, as just you, is enough. And through that process, we will focus on your mind, the places where you have lies that come against you, the places where you believe things about yourself that aren't true, that are creating a ceiling above you. I look forward to the day when you can say, Julie, I feel free. And then we can focus on body. We can focus on things like places where you have insecurities, places where people have told you to feel like you have to cover up certain things because it's not good enough for what society says. And then through that process, we can go into your wardrobe and we can find the style that you feel expresses your true, unique self. I want you to get that promotion. I want you to get that raise. I want you to be fully who you are, and clothes get to be an extension of that. It's a tool that we get to use to bring you further to your goals. And lastly, we get to focus on your surroundings. Life happens and there's no shame in that. And so we can work together to make your home, to make your office, to make your closets organized so that when you walk in, you feel like you can breathe, that you're not overwhelmed by the clutter, you're not overwhelmed by the chaos, but you can see what you need, you can get what you need so that you can be who you truly want to be. And not only that, we can also focus on organizing your time. Our time is so valuable, and in this society, everyone is grabbing for our time. And so we can sit down and create a system that works for you, where you feel like you actually get to do the things that you want to do, to create boundaries, to say no to the things that you don't want, and to say yes to the things that you do want. So let's get together. Let's figure this out. I got you. Let's do this thing.
Hello, this is Nina Perez, and welcome back to Straight Talk. We have been sitting here with Julie Gulemi. I've been sitting here more than you guys. I have more time. We're talking about mind, body, and surroundings, and all the things that she's been through, going through the modeling agencies and emotional trauma and things like that. So I wanted to now take all of those traumatic experience and things that she's been through and talk about how she's taking that to transform the life of others, which is amazing. And I'm glad you're doing that, Julie. And I love your website. I went on YouTube and watched a couple of your videos. I'm a little bit of a fan. But I wanted to talk to you about mind, body, and surroundings, and kind of like I guess talk about and expose what it's about, right? So let's talk about each component of your business. I saw that you do the mind, the body, and the surroundings. So the mind, on your website, it says that it's confidence coaching, which I found truly interesting. Someone talked to you about that. Releasing lies sessions, awesome. And identity healing. And so it's the not enough statements that we tell ourselves doesn't have to be that way. And these beliefs are creating a ceiling above you, and it's time to break free. I love that. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about this service of your business. So the mind.
Yes.
Talk to me about confidence coaching, releasing lies session, identity healing.
Yeah, so this is the basis. This is where, we kind of dive down deep and we get to the root of what's really going on. Because, I get calls where they're like, help me figure out this outfit. Can you help me organize my life? And some people just want the surface stuff. And that's totally okay. But then oftentimes when I meet with people, the stuff comes out of, I'm really struggling with my eating. I'm really struggling with, I'm trying to get this job, but I can't, or, this in my relationship is really struggling, or, I don't feel good in my own body type conversations start coming out. And that's when I implement the mind work. Right. And, some people come to me just simply because they want the mind work. But the biggest thing is that, so often we're just managing symptoms. So if someone doesn't feel good in their body, a friend will say, just get your hair done, get your nails done, get a cute outfit, you'll feel better, and that's a symptom of, you're trying to fix the symptom of not feeling good in your body with kind of band-aiding it, which I'm such a believer, totally get your hair done, do your nails, wear a cute outfit. I love that. But you have to start with your beliefs. Yeah. You have to start with your mind. Right. And so I have just found in my work with my own self and with clients that we have memories where, if I am sitting with a client and I have them close their eyes and I say, what is the memory that is at the root of this feeling that you have about yourself? And a memory comes to mind.
I bet.
When I was 5 years old, my dad said this about my body. And that was when they learned that they needed to look a certain way. Wow. And so, we could be going to the store and getting them an outfit, but really the work needs to start at that 5-year-old memory and bringing abundant love into that memory and saying, okay, what is the lie that I'm believing here in this memory?
Right.
And then, okay, let's figure out, okay, God or universe or love, what is the truth you want me to know? And so what's happening is we're rewriting people's past. So literally people's memories are being rewritten and they're learning new beliefs about themselves.
Wow.
So where, in my own life, I can say, I believed that I was bad. That has been a deep, deep, deep lie. And so I've had a bunch of memories that I've had to work through of, where did I learn that lie? Who's telling me that lie? And what's actually the truth of what's happening?
And were you able to do that? Were you able to pinpoint some of those? Yeah?
Yes.
Wow.
And it's crazy how vivid the memories can be. And it might not even be a real memory, but it's something that you have in your mind.
That you made.
And how you perceived something. And it doesn't matter if it was real or not. It's how you perceived it, and it's the lie that you're believing. So that's one of them. That's the releasing lies that I love doing with clients. And then with that, identity healing. So for me, I learned, I was the model. I learned that I had to be the good Christian girl. Right. And so those were these identities that I was stepping into, that I was living out of, but it wasn't really me. That's not who I really was created to be. Right. I'm so much more than that. Right. And so I was relying on those identities to give me value and to give me worth. And when those were taken away,
right.
I dissolved to nothing.
Right.
I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what my purpose was here on this earth. And so, I think especially in Fairfield County, there is so much pressure. So much pressure to be somebody, to be the best.
And that starts young, and it starts young.
So young.
Yeah.
And so when we grow up in that culture, it's like I'm speaking a different language to someone when I'm saying, let's look at this. They're like, I didn't even know this was an option for me to not have to be the best field hockey player, to be the best, go to that Ivy League school, to. And so with the identity healing, it's like, I want you to be who you were truly created to be. And when you are living in that life, when you are living in that belief, that is where true freedom is. That's where the true fun is. That's where the true fulfillment is. That's where your purpose is. That's where life feels easy.
Right.
Not this like 1,000,000 pounds on your shoulders, so exhausted, just trying to make it through the next day.
Right. And so one of the things I want to point out with that is that it's a process.
Oh, it's a process.
Like they're not going to see you and then come out of there and be like, woohoo, I know who I am.
Yes.
No, it's a process. It's a process of calling you to go through this healing, but that means going through the healing.
Absolutely.
It takes time. And I think that that's one of the things that people get frustrated with the most is they want a quick, fast, and in a hurry type of thing.
Right.
And this does not work like that. I mean, if it's taken you 20 years to get to the point where you feel like you need the healing, then you got about 25, 30 years that it took that long to even like keep processing this. So I'm not saying it's going to take 25 years to heal, but what I'm saying is that it's not a quick fix.
Right.
It's not a quick fix. And that's one of the things I think people have to know, that when they call you and they speak with you, if you feel like you're a good match with them, because I'm assuming that you go through that process with them, that they understand that this is going to be a process, but a process that's going to be worth it.
Totally.
Absolutely. Totally worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it totally is a process, but part of what I do with my clients is I want to help them feel comfortable. Like when I'm with them, I don't leave them being like, they're like, oh my gosh, what is my life? A lot of what I do, especially if there's some severe anxiety, like a lot of times people are in a lot of turmoil when they come, when the pain gets higher than the pain is more extreme than the pain it is to heal, they come. And so I oftentimes use science to help explain to them why they're feeling the way that they're feeling.
Oh, that's good.
And so I explain what your nervous system is doing. I'm explaining what your brain is doing. I'm explaining how trauma is functioning in your body and why your thoughts are racing and how that's actually your body's way of loving you well. And so when they're having these triggers, they're all of a sudden feeling anxious, they're all of a sudden really depressed, they need to they feel like they need to run, or they feel like they need to just go to sleep. Then I'm explaining to them what's happening so they don't think they're crazy.
Right.
So that they know, you're actually like, you're so resilient and I'm so proud of you. And, then they know, okay, I'm not crazy. Like I'm actually being really smart. Thank you, body. You're loving me well right now. So yes, it's a process, but then also in the immediate, there's relief as well, which is my clients have really loved.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. And it must be really rewarding for you, like when you look at them and see the aha,
yes.
right? That click that happens that you go, they got it. Right?
Yes,
that must be cool.
And I've been there. And
Yeah.
it's like, I just wish someone would have been there to do this for me.
Yeah.
You're not crazy.
Right?
You're not,
really
I promise. And it's only a season. It's not going to be like this forever. And do the healing work. The only way to get through it is to literally go through it.
Right.
So, diving deep, it's almost like you're cutting the healing process in time in half, because a lot of times we go into therapy sessions and, you're like, okay, how are you doing today? What's going on today? Which is great. But are we really doing the deep work?
Right. Yeah. And people can stay in therapy at that level still with how you're doing today and whatever for years. For years. And I know a few people who have done that. Yeah. And they're going to therapy like 10, 15 years. And they're still at the how are you today?
Right.
I'm like, wow, that's not good. Not that good. But you're just having a conversation. We could do that here. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you're right. I think there's something to be said about going to that route. There's something to be said about that. So once you do that, what is the confidence coaching part of it?
Yeah. So a lot of times that has to come after we do the deep
healing
work.
So you do you try to release those lies or find the root, right? Then you're doing the identity healing, which you're trying to find who their identity really is and their purpose, right? And then confidence coaching?
Yeah, so someone could come to me and just ask for confidence coaching, and that's totally fine. But
Okay.
I often find, like, why don't you feel good about yourself?
Right.
Why are you feeling
you're
insecure
still going
in your
back
body?
to,
You're right.
You're still going back
it
to
all
the
goes
root.
back to
It's
the
like,
root.
you're tricking me.
But again, obviously, if
No, that
someone's like,
makes sense.
just help me be
But
more
that makes
confident.
sense, though.
Right. But like, I'll help them, like, how do you walk into a room?
Right.
How do you shake someone's hand?
Oh, okay.
How do you have
Okay.
a conversation with
Okay.
somebody? What tone of voice do you use?
Right.
How do you dress? You know, those sorts of things. How do you carry yourself? What attitude are you going into a room with? You know, all that kind of stuff. You know,
Okay.
even college applications, you know, like, not applications, college interviews. Like, okay, what is the goal of how you want to be perceived
Viewed,
as?
yeah, that's
and, you know, I'll help you get there. So there are people I have done where they're just like, help me be more confident for this specific event.
Okay.
But then there's there's some guys who, like, they want to date, but they don't know how, and they
Right.
feel insecure, and, you know, helping them feel more confident meeting a girl and going on a date, you know, so there's a
Right.
very large window of what I do.
There is. And what I like is that you mentioned that, because I didn't realize, and I want people to realize this too, that you are not just focusing on women and girls or teens, right? But you do some guys too?
I have my
Right.
sweet spot is women and,
Yeah, of course.
and teens. I say I do women and teens, but there have been men who have approached me for some help. So
well, that's good. So then that's good. The confidence coaching, I was wondering what that was, but that makes so much sense, because I think that a lot of people struggle with that too, and especially nowadays with all of the social media and stuff, because we're not connecting with people anymore. You're not. You know, it's either you text somebody, or you're swiping to the right or to the left for the boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yes.
Like, honestly, there's no connection. You know, we have a rule in my house, always had it. My kids are all like 30, 28, they're grown. But the rule is, at a dinner table, no cell phones. It's eye-to-eye conversation, that's it.
Love
you know? And that's because otherwise we are all sitting at the table, including me, checking things out. Like, what are we doing? We've lost that. And so, you know, what your service is doing, or having this confidence coaching, is important, because it is a lost art to communicate.
It is.
It really is. It's sad.
It is sad.
It's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even part of that too with the confidence coaching, like, you and I had talked about this, but about, like, women and being confident in themselves if they feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, of the whole idea of,
Yeah.
how are you feeling in this? You know, what is happening in your body? You are allowed to leave any situation that you don't feel comfortable in.
That is great.
And so having the confidence, you know, women have been taught, you are polite, you are quiet, you know, if you feel uncomfortable, you just deal with it. And I fall into that too. I do that often, but I'm now, you know, through my own healing and stuff that I've learned, is like, no, if you feel uncomfortable, you get to leave. You don't have to stay anywhere you don't want to stay. I mean, unless it's like school or something, but that still, you can excuse yourself to go to the bathroom.
You sure can.
Or you can go and talk to someone who you trust, you know. So there's just so much about confidence that is like, if we all were completely confident in who we are, imagine this world. And in a healthy way, not in like a unhealthy,
cocky. Yeah, of course.
but in a healthy way. This world would be like, it makes me so passionate to think of like all of us feeling fully confident in who we are.
And it's, you will never be out of work. You'll never be out of work, because I think that sometimes mistakenly, we learn from our parents who don't know what that is either, right? And so then we pass some of those things on to our kids, and we don't realize we're doing it, right? Yeah. And there's a poem that says, "Your mom and they mess you up, your mom and dad. They do not mean to, but they do."
Yeah.
And so I think that, you know, you will never be out of business, which is good. But I love, me and you were talking during the break about the women and confidence and stuff, and how, you know, a strange man can be walking right next to you, and you're walking right next to them scared, but you won't excuse yourself or tell him, back off, creep. Like, what are you doing? You know, like, but we don't want to be rude, and we don't want to be mean, and, you know, we don't want to be unconfident and stuff like that. And so it's funny that women do that, but most women do, unless they've been trained otherwise, you know. Like, I speak to a friend of mine who's a sergeant, and she's like, come next to me, we'll see what's happening, right? But this is what she does. This is her life, and this is what she does. So, but you're right. I think, to your point about how do you think about, what do you do when you walk into a room? How do you talk? You know, what's your handshake like? You know, things like that. You don't think about those things. But it does say a lot about people. It does. When I do an interview for a job position at my job and we're shaking hands, I always think about how did they shake my hand, you know?
It communicates so much.
Yeah. Did you look at me when I asked you
Yeah.
a question? Did you wait for me to ask you the question?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It really is.
Yeah, and so confidence coaching it's a cool thing, and I like that you can separate that out of it if you need to, you know, so that anybody who's watching who just wants to do the confidence coaching thing, at least they know that, okay, maybe I'm not ready to go that deep yet, you know, because some people aren't ready to touch some of those hurts because they're deep. I mean, they're deep. When I wrote my book, I had to go through that trauma, you know, by myself and in prayer. Right. But I cried a lot. I thought I was over a lot of stuff until I had to write it down on paper, right? Right. But, you know, releasing sessions are super important. I've done them. They're great. They help a lot more than you think.
Yes.
Yeah. You walk out of there going, wait a minute, I'm actually good with that now.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing.
Yes.
So that's a great piece of your practice. I wanted to also talk about body, and it says wardrobe edits, personal shopping, color and style analysis, and body image healing also included in that, which is awesome. And I read that you said, are you ready to love your style and feel good about your clothes? Life happens, and whether it's feeling overwhelmed when looking at your wardrobe, or feeling lost trying to make outfits, you are in the perfect place. Okay. But that's really cool because that means that, you know, it goes along with your experience too as a model, right? Like all of this, you're bringing all of those things that were good and bad, and you're bringing it right into something amazing, which is your practice. That's really great. So talk to me about the body part of your business.
Yeah, so I went to Fashion Institute of Technology to get my image consulting certification. So
FIT is a great school.
It's so good. I love it. Oh, I met some amazing people there. But so that's what I'm doing with that. So I'm combining my emotional stuff with my love for clothes and celebrating the uniqueness of someone's body and helping them feel confident. So for some clients, they're like, can you please just come into my space and just make outfits with what I have, because I'm so overwhelmed. I have no idea what to do. If you just make an outfit for me, I'll wear it. Just tell me what to wear. You know, I have some of those people. Then I have some other people.
Fun for you, I'm sure.
So
right? It sounds like fun.
It feels like art. It really is like art, and it's also cool because it's like I get to see someone and look at, like, you know, what are your lifestyle goals? What persona do you want to present? Like, do you want, when you're going to this business meeting, do you want to seem really passionate and intense, or do you want to seem soft and safe? Like, what do you want to project? And so I get to kind of dive deep into people's personalities with this and have fun. So then there's other clients.
Like fun.
Oh, so great. Then there's other clients who are like, I don't have any clothes that I like. Can you please just help me go through what I have, get rid of stuff, and then can we go shopping together? So
that's even more fun.
Oh, it is the best.
That's even more fun. Spending their money? Yes, let's go.
It's the best. And also, I grew up not that well off. And so my family, you know, I had to figure out how to find the bargains. I had to figure out how to find the deals. But also, you know, I know ways to find designer clothes for really good deals. And so that's really fun too, because that you don't have to have a ton of money to do this. You can have a range. And, you know, I can work with different price points. I can work with different budgets. And, you know, some people, it's like, I just need an outfit for this one event. And I'll be like, sure, let's do this. We got this. And so it's always checking in with the client of, like, how do you feel? Like, I want you to feel like the rock star that you are. And that's the goal. It's not about me. It's about you and who you are. So it's great.
That is great. That sounds fun. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Color and style analysis, I guess it goes along with that?
Yes.
Is that like just knowing what the right color is for people and stuff? Okay.
So there was, in the 80s, I think there was this like huge thing. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's like the seasons, people's color seasons. So they still use that, but it doesn't feel as corny as I feel like it used to.
Like no white after Labor Day or whatever it is.
And like certain colors are your colors. But that it actually is true. So we incorporate like the amount of keratin that's in your skin, the amount of hemoglobin, you know, like all the different, it's a science. It's really cool. And figuring out, okay, like, are you warm tone? Are you cool tone? Like, should I be wearing blues, or, you know, like all that kind of stuff. And so when you put on clothes that the colors work really well for your skin tone, you come alive. And it's so crazy because I can see if you put a color under someone that isn't right for their skin tone, they immediately start to look more sick.
Wow.
Or like they didn't have a good night's sleep.
Right.
And so I'm like, let me help you look the best that you can
Right. Oh,
because
that's
you
so
deserve it.
interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is crazy how you can, like literally within a second, you can put someone in a different color top and they will look completely different.
Wow. Wow, that must be really exciting for people too, because if they're shopping with you, they didn't know that yellow was their color.
Yes.
You know, they never even buy anything yellow.
Right.
Right? And
Right.
it's like, that must be a good eye opener for people to be able to see that.
For
That's
sure.
really neat.
Yes.
That's a great service. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And it also, you go right back into the body image healing, right? So identity healing, this is body image healing.
Yes.
And
So
yeah, so
with
go ahead.
that, so there's that fun part of the body stuff that's just like, let's celebrate your body and who you are. Then there's also the body image healing. And so that's kind of the deep dive of, I have a lot of practices, I have a lot of tools for people to use to help make peace with their body. And there's a process. I mean, I know that there's this big body healing push, body positivity push recently. I don't know if you've been seeing that or noticing that.
Yeah,
but
of course, it's everywhere.
yeah, and I love it, and I'm so for it. But there's this misconception that you can one day wake up and love your body.
Yeah.
And you can't.
That's right.
You can't. We
That's
have
right.
been programmed.
And it's okay to love yourself and not love the body.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a place where the reality is right now you might hate your body.
Right.
You might want to do anything you can to hide and camouflage and cover your body. And that's okay for where you are today.
Yeah.
But let's get you to the next step.
Yeah.
If it's right now you hate your body, let's just get you to the place of accepting that your body is the way that it is right now.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
and
good.
obviously the goal is to celebrate your body and
Right.
to love your body and realize that there is nothing wrong with your body.
Right.
We have just been brainwashed.
Yeah.
And I've done so much research about different cultures and different time periods about bodies and the female body in particular. And so I have so much material that I give my
good.
clients for this because they're not only do we need to do healing practices, there also needs to be knowledge.
Yeah.
Because we've been so brainwashed.
Yeah.
We've been brainwashed that this is the ideal beauty, and if you look this way, you're beautiful, and if you don't, you're not.
Yeah.
But that is such a lie.
Yeah.
And I've done actual research on like with people of figuring out, okay, if you tell them this is beautiful for this amount of time, will they actually start to believe that it's beautiful? And you do.
Yes.
You do.
We do. Something that you never liked
Yes.
before. Yep.
Yes.
It's so true.
So the thing is that you
so
can,
true.
we only have an insecurity because someone told us to be insecure about it.
Yeah. Exactly. So I want to talk about really quick about surroundings.
Okay.
Organization, decluttering, and decorating. Organizing your closets, drawers, cabinets. That seems pretty straightforward. Is that what you do? You go in and like, this is a mess. We need to clean this up.
It's basically taking the person as a whole of like, they might feel overwhelmed with their whole life and it's holding them back.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times people have said, can you help me just come up with a meal plan for the week? Can you just help me organize my schedule? Can you help me organize my spaces? Because again, that's something that holds people back.
Yeah,
and
it
my
does.
goal is
It
just,
does.
I want nothing to hold you back from living the life that you were created
cool.
to live.
Is that your tagline? Mind, body, and surrounding, because nothing will hold you back. That is good.
That is good.
Nothing will hold you back. All right. Give us 2 things to our viewers that you think that they can start today. In any of them, really. I want to, any process, whether it's the mind, body, or surrounding. What are like 2 takeaways for our viewers?
Yeah. Okay. So my first would be awareness.
Awareness. That's a
Is-
good one.
Just start becoming aware of how you talk to yourself.
Okay.
Start becoming aware of what you feel like when you put that pair of pants on. Start becoming aware when you get into the shower. What thoughts are going through your mind? What's happening for you? Because that is the first step. You have to become aware in order to fix, the problem, to bring healing to where there needs to be healing. So
good.
number 1, awareness.
All right. That's good.
Number 2, let me see. Let's make this one a fun one. For your clothes.
Okay.
If you don't feel like a rock star when you put that thing on, get rid of it.
Okay. Oh, I
You
got some stuff
should
to get rid of.
only put something on and feel amazing in it. And that might mean you have 3
good.
outfits, but that's fine.
Good. That's good.
If you feel amazing in it, that is the standard.
That's so true. Because when I wear something I don't really like, I don't feel good.
Nope.
That's so true.
And I give you permission
Yeah.
to wear like the same outfit every single day if you have to.
Yeah. My husband would kill me, but yeah. Just smell a little bit. It's fine. Julie, you are so much fun. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for coming on. I was so excited when I called you and you're like, yeah, I have time. I'm like, yes! Yes! She has time. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to lead people to you. So if I can give your contact info, that'd be great. So to contact Julie, because I can't have her all to myself. You guys can have her too. It is Julie Gulemi, Juliegulemi.com. And you can also email her at juliegulemi@gmail.com or call the practice at 203-260-8783. This was so much fun. I love having Julie here. This is really great. Thank you so much for watching. This is Nina Perez at Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Go onto YouTube and subscribe to Straight Talk, No Sugar Added, or go to our blog or web page. I mean, we're everywhere. So you have no excuse. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.